Welcome, peeps, to Belt Talk.
Belt.
Belt of Steel.
Harrison and Rob, Kevin and Joe, talking about the wrestlers that you know. FTW Podcast, FTW Podcast, FTW Podcast.
Oh, yeah! Welcome to another edition of the FTW Podcast, the wrestling world and all its laughable glory. This is episode number 152 and was recorded live on February 19th, 2013 on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we're going to discuss how much you all hate the new WWE belt, how much you all love the new WWE belt, how much you all just won't shut up about the WWE belt, plus a couple of pay-per-views and some shows, but mostly we're probably going to talk about that damn belt. I am Harrison, and tonight we have Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Welcome, peeps, to Belt Talk.
That's all we're going to talk about. Anyway, Garvin. Say hello, Garvin.
Belt.
Belt of Steel. Steel.
No, timestamp that. I want to save that as a soundbite we can use anytime we want. Just keep going, belt. If you're listening through iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, FTW Podcast, or through your favorite podcast player, make sure to check out the rest of FTWpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in this and upcoming discussions. You can also find us on Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. All those links and much more are listed right there at FTWpodcast.com. For all you live chat hooligans listening live here tonight on FTW Live, glad you can make it. Looking forward to you contributing to the show. This episode has been brought to you by the official I'm an FTW Podcast Guy T. They've been called renegades, rebels, mad scientists who change the way the world sees pro wrestling today, and regardless of what you call them, show the world what they should call you, an FTW Podcast Guy. You can get it in all sizes, including 3XL and 4XL, and yes, ladies, we take care of you too. We have an FTW Podcast Girl Tee. Get it now for only $15 over at FTWpodcast.com/shirts. Speaking of sponsorships, doing this podcast every week costs money. Costs money. You got hosting fees. We got to feed Rob. It basically costs Joe and Garvin. So why not sponsor an upcoming episode to help us pay for hosting and everything else we do here? You can go to FTWpodcast.com/sponsor and sponsor a future episode today. Now we're going to go on to the week that was in WWE and TNA. First things first on WWE's docket. You know what? We're just going to save the belt for later because this I don't want to burn out on that. Let's just kind of let's get some slow momentum here going. Let's just dive right into Elimination Chamber. Joe, if you had to pick your favorite match for Elimination Chamber, let's have a fight about it. So go ahead.
I'm definitely going to say it was the Elimination Chamber match. It was great. It made just about everybody look strong a little bit. Obviously, Jack Swagger looked really strong.
For winning it, yeah.
Yeah, for winning it. I mean, Mark Henry came in after he got taken out. Unfortunately, it was by an RKO, so that's the only thing Randy Orton really did in the whole damn match. An elimination he didn't fairly deserve to get, but hey, he was there. He did the job. Jericho was stellar. Kane and Debray were great. It was just a great all-around match.
Well, I only disagree with you on Kane and Daniel Bryan because they were okay unless they were facing each other. Debray showed again why. No, hang on. Hear me out. Daniel Bryan did great. Kane did okay. He usually does pretty good in these matches, and it did all right. But when the two of them were working either together or around each other, it was much stronger. I gotta say, the standout talent for me throughout that entire thing, though, was Mark Henry. The fact that he took that double superplex right onto the cage, I mean, he weighs like 400 pounds. I mean, that was like a Volkswagen landing on that thing. And, good on him. Good on him for taking a bump like that at his age when he's had those injuries. And
yeah, but my complaint now with your statements is that you're basically discounting Jericho versus Daniel Bryan, and that was epically awesome for technicality's sake. You can't put two better guys in the ring for technical wrestling in the WWE right now.
Yeah, but that's not really what you would expect in the Elimination Chamber. You would expect the Elimination Chamber to be more of a hardcore, throw them around spot fest. I wouldn't really.
But that's why that started it off.
To kind of,
set-
they set the tone.
pace.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did set the pace and it kept it going. I'll hand you that one. I just, it's not the style of wrestling you would expect to really thrive in the Elimination Chamber, but the fact they started out with first. Okay, so coming out of that, Jack Swagger, as the road to WrestleMania paved for him for the World Heavyweight Championship, we kind of got a thing going on now where Jack Swagger is heading there with the win from Elimination Chamber, but at the same time, Ziggler still has the case. Did not cash in. Do you see these two meeting at the belt, possibly for a three-way match at WrestleMania? I know we got like 6 months or something before the pay-per-view. I mean, where do you see these two kind of working around each other leading up to that?
Wait, Swagger and who?
Kofi, I'm sorry, Dolph, with the case.
Oh, Dolph. I was listening and Dolph slipped out of my head.
Oh, that's okay. No, yeah.
But the thing is, Dolph doesn't have to cash in. I see Dolph doesn't have to cash in until when? Money in the Bank again.
No.
That's when his cutoff is, right?
It's at WrestleMania.
Oh, it is WrestleMania. Then I think he's going to pull it off after the match. As much as I'd like to see Swagger win the belt, I definitely see a good program coming up between him and Del Rio, but I'm not exactly sure where Dolph's going to fit in. If he's going to have to cash in after the match at WrestleMania.
Okay. And I have something to say about Dolph and Ziggler. I'm sorry, Del Rio and Swagger. But yeah, we'll kick it to Garvin real quick. Go.
Well, I just want to say that I would be surprised if Dolph cashes it in before WrestleMania, only because it seems like right now they are going to try to push this Jack Swagger Zeb Coulter thing as far as possible, and if it continues to succeed, then it would be a perfect match between Swagger and Del Rio. If it fails, though, that's when you'll see Dolph Ziggler. If they keep getting as much heat as they are now, but it turns like into really, really bad media heat, then the WWE will probably pull the plug on it, or at least bring in Dolph to kind of soften that, so you don't see Swagger holding the title.
All of the Republican Party is apparently chiming in on this thing. I swear to God, there are reports coming in that like Rush Limbaugh is commenting on this storyline.
Well,
now the question I had the question. Oh no, go on, Garf. I'm sorry.
Just to clarify, that's not all of the right. That is the extreme of the right.
Right. The extreme of the right.
Yeah,
the Tea Party-esque parties are commenting.
Garvin's a Republican, in case you couldn't tell. So when you bring up Rush Limbaugh about him, he gets really upset, which is fair. Okay, we've had many an argument over it. All right, but the question I have specifically about that is kind of a jokey question, which is, do you think this is maybe WWE sticking it to Linda McMahon's supporters and that they didn't roll out in bigger numbers to get her elected? So they're like, you know what, fuck you, we're going to make fun of you now. But that's the question I want to know. So you got Swagger and ADR. It's a perfect storyline leading up. And this is what we talked about last week to an extent, that WWE has kind of hit this well before, and it has backfired for him. So, Joe, what do you say about what Garvin said, that maybe Dolph Ziggler is literally, in this case, a ripcord, that if this gets too hot, they throw Ziggler in there, get the belt off ADR, and then they're good?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that. That's a strong backup plan. But I mean, there have been 2 times they've done this type of, one time they've really only done this type of storyline.
It was the Sergeant Slaughter thing. And
the Sergeant Slaughter Iraqi Desert Storm dealy. And it went very well. The only thing
for Slaughter.
Well, no, he reports that he had to be guarded and stuff like that. Storyline wise, though, it worked out well.
Oh, yeah.
The time they attempted to do something like that again, which was the Muhammad Hassan bit, that ended terribly, even though, I mean, like, that thing had legs. And I think that the role of Hassan, was doing his job extremely well. Mm-hmm. I think the 2 problems were, 1, before he went to lock in his finisher, he gave the throat slit. And 2, WWE sending guys out looking like the guys who had just beheaded somebody on television and dressed them in the similar clothes and had them go out and beat up on somebody. That was a stupid move, WWE.
Well, it was just too soon.
No, it's
It
always
was
a
a
stupid
li-
move.
that was a little too far. If they had different costumes, it would have been
No,
okay.
no. You do not send out jihadists and make a
You
throat
don't make
slit
them look like
motion.
jihadists, okay?
No, yeah, you just don't do that. You don't, that there is never a too soon. There's never a not too soon for that.
And,
This
and
isn't.
if it's too soon for this podcast, we're sorry, but Garvin's got the Taliban beard.
Oh, barely. It's more of a Nordic kind of flavor to it because he's blonde. Unless they dye their beards over there, which they might.
That might be the hipster thing to do.
Yeah, I know, right? Over there. That's the hipster Al-Qaeda, is they dye their beards blonde instead of wearing the sunglasses and the skinny jeans. They can't even wear jeans over there, can they? So there you go. Maybe it is what it is. Okay, so basically, I mean, do you guys, beyond WrestleMania, if everything works out, do you see this swagger this swagger ADR thing having legs, with or without the belt? Do you think that there's a strong possibility for a decent storyline for the next 5-6 months?
That's why Zeb's around.
So you think Zeb is going to be the key to this whole thing?
I think so. He's going to be what fuels the hatred for the fans. Because like Garvin said on Saturday, Swagger is fine. He's epically awesome. As a heel, he's got the look, he's got the moveset, he's got everything until he opens his mouth.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. He does kind of run into that problem.
I love Swagger. Swagger's awesome. But it's hard to take him serious as a threat when he opens his mouth.
All right. Now, for me, Garv, do you have a favorite match from Elimination Chamber before we go to mine? Because I don't want to throw it around like I'm the host or something. Go on.
I did also like the chamber match itself. I thought it kind of started off slow and strange for a chamber match, but I do like Jericho and Bryan in the ring. I think they work really, really well together. And when Mark Henry hit, it was, that's when the match really changed and got exciting. But as far as the rest of the card, Cesaro and Miz did pretty well. It was very old school Bret Hart style wrestling, where they were definitely going after limbs, trying to work them down to submissions, and that's something you don't really see from both sides of the match that often anymore. So I really like the pacing of that match, but I think the best match on the card was the Shield versus the Glass Ceiling. I thought how they did that entire match was great. The ending, it was perfect. The Shield are showing that they can really handle themselves in the ring, and I hope that they continue to get this monstrous push that they have.
Yeah, that was for me, was hands down the match I was most impressed with. Going into it, you didn't really know what to think, but you were kind of hoping that if Shield get a clean win out of this, they're going to have massive momentum. And not only did they get a clean win, but they got it, through basically working like a solid cohesive unit. And JBL sold them so well. I mean, a little hyperbolic at times, but he was kind of proven right at a few points when they really meshed well. I mean, they're pulling out these three-way team moves that you really don't see very often in tag team wrestling itself, let alone in, 6-man matches like this. And they just made Ryback, Cena, and Sheamus, not look bad, but as far as like, if you're looking at it as team on team, they made those three look terrible as a team. But yeah, I mean, Shield busting out some amazing, technical, really well choreographed, maneuvers. I mean, these guys did a lot of work to do this, and it looked great. They looked fantastic in there.
What about Ryback getting the loss though? What happened to that guy?
Kind of weird. Yeah, that was well. I think the thing that they're going to go with is that he was. I don't know how you spin it without him actually just straight up getting the loss. I mean, Cena hit his finisher, so it wasn't like Cena got hit. He hit his finisher, and then Ryback got speared, and then then pinned essentially.
It just seems odd. I mean, with Sheamus in the ring, Sheamus is the weakest one out of the bunch. For sure, I thought he was going to take the loss if they lost at all, but for Ryback, I mean, Ryback has not won, any of his big matches yet. Like, I can't tell if he's still going to be pushed or if they just were trying to push him to see what they could get out of him. And then now they've calmed down on him. He's not going to be like that big threat that he once was.
here's the problem, fella, is that like Sheamus was involved. The reason they couldn't use Sheamus for other stuff is because they needed Ryback when Cena was out, to deal with Punk, because Sheamus was already involved with the world title picture. You know, it would have been very awkward for them to switch. Now, I agree with you that they probably should have switched it, but I think out of anybody, the easiest person to turn heel at this point is Ryback.
That's what you're getting out of this? They're going to switch Ryback to heel?
Well,
How does that happen?
Well, I don't think they ever switched him to heel. Maybe when he was Skip Sheffield or the Silverback Ryan Reeves, he was a heel, but I don't think he was never cemented into a role until the crowd got into him. They're like, okay, we'll make him a face. He was just kind of destroying people. So,
did you get any of that, Garth? He kind of lost me.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you can also look at it this way: he is the youngest of the three. He's got the least momentum as far as he hasn't won any titles. He really hasn't won any big matches. So out of the three of them, he's the weakest guy as far as history goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most youthful out of the three, and then when he got pinned, he didn't stick around and conglomerate with his tag team partners. He just left. He left in a huff.
No, that's a fair point. I mean, Joe, you do have a point. He is kind of in flux right now. I mean, we basically had the high of Ryback. Like you said, they built him up, and now it's the classic WWE thing of we'll give you the world. Now we're going to take it away, earn it back. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Ryback, not so much leading up to WrestleMania, but maybe in the months afterwards, maybe all the way up to SummerSlam, to see what happens with him to kind of gauge where his career is going to go. Are we going to have someone who rockets to the top like Dolph Ziggler or The Miz? We're going to have somebody who kind of disappears and then they keep trying different stuff with him like Swagger. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ryback. All right, so Rock versus Punk. It was the match. I mean, it was the main event. Oh, it was the rematch that everybody, I guess, wanted to see. But, I mean, how do you feel about the match itself? Is it, to me, comparing, Rock seems to be kind of getting his form back. He's kind of getting he's getting his legs underneath him, so to speak. He was in much better condition, definitely, than he was when he faced Cena. He was in better shape than he was last time he faced Punk. His moves look crisper. It wasn't the Rock of old. I don't think we're ever going to see that again. But he did look better. And so that's, for me, given the fact that he has WrestleMania coming up, I think it's going to be better than it was last year. All right, Garv, what do you got?
I love this match, except for the ending. But I thought this was fantastic. Yeah. And after seeing this match, I would rather see Punk versus Rock at WrestleMania. I think that would be the better match than throwing Cena in there. I wouldn't mind seeing 3 or 4 more of these matches because of how well they worked in the ring at Elimination Chamber. There's definitely a chemistry there that you don't have with a lot of other people. Even Cena and Rock don't work as well together in the ring like Punk and Rock did. So yeah, I thought this match was great. I didn't like how they did the finish. I'm okay with the finish as far as the result. I'm okay that that they did that type of finish. It's just that it felt too short. We still had like 8 to 10 minutes left on the pay-per-view. There was a lot more time that they could have dragged that out and made it feel a little bit less rushed and more realistic.
Well, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from for me, but for the high point, like when Punk rock bottomed Rock on the announce table, I didn't know what they could possibly do throughout the rest of the match to top that moment. That was amazing.
Break a table.
Yeah, they could have.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, actually break the table. The table. But the fact that Punk, I mean, just like, it was, like you said, Garv, they have a great chemistry to it, and it's because Rock is like that giant, and then Punk just pulls you in, and when he's doing it, he throws Rock's arm over, and he picks him up and hits him with his own finisher. I mean, right there on the table. It was just, and I forget if it was JBL or someone said, and finally the Spanish announce table gets its revenge and doesn't break on a pay-per-view. That was a great moment. Anyway,
yeah, and this is being talked about in the live chat. Will, he says that Punk and Rock have actual animosity, and they show it. And that's the thing. This is what we wanted to see
Yes.
from Cena and Rock last year at WrestleMania, and we didn't get it. Now we're getting it with Punk, and I don't want it to be over.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. But the thing is, Cena versus Rock last time wasn't booked with animosity. It was more of a professional disrespect is the only way I can describe it. You know, the fact that they were like, well, I'm the best. Well, I'm the best. Well, let's see what happens. It wasn't like like an Ali Frazier type of thing where they hated each other. It was like, you know, something where these two guys are like, well, we're just going to see who, we're both going to walk in there and whoever's the last one standing wins, you know?
They tried to do that though with the digs and
Later they
all that
did.
stuff.
You
know,
like
that's
last,
what
like,
I know.
3 or
They
4
tried to
weeks.
build it up, but the problem was when they tried to build it up, it fell flat because all we got was rock concerts. Which, you know, it's funny once in a great while. When he hasn't been on TV in like 10 years, it's not that funny, especially when it fell as flat as it did. You know, and the match suffered. You know, last year's WrestleMania match suffered because the buildup was poor.
Yeah.
And in turn, you know, the match was poor. I don't know what it was between those guys, but I strongly feel, and thank God Mike's not on here because I don't want to have that another 3-hour debate with that. But, you know, it was bad. Like, it was a bad match.
Yeah.
I understand it put butts in the seats. I understand that. But
Yeah.
it was a terrible match.
And
I'm with Garvin. I would gladly love to see Punk involved in the match, even if you did a 3-way. The only catch there is we don't know going forward about the T factor, which would be the Undertaker.
Taker. Okay. I got that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's not go over last year's WrestleMania because we went over it ad nauseum for like the past year, and we're probably going to talk about it more in the next coming weeks. No. So Rock versus Cena. Now, try not to think about what happened last year. Let's approach this with, you know, fresh eyes. Given what's been happening to Cena lately and what's been happening to Rock lately, do you see any redeeming factors of this match going into it? Once again, please, for the life of me, forget about last year's match. Just think about it on its own terms with this coming build. Do you see promise for this?
The promise I see is for WrestleMania 30 to have Rock versus Cena. Because I think that's going to be the final match. I think they're going to build it up, you know, with Rock being this great champion. Rock is going to lose the title to John Cena. Then they'll be 1-1, and then you're going to see the two of them go at it
in
again.
a rubber match. So you definitely see this going to a rubber match.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Garv, what about you? I mean, do you see any redeeming factors going into this? The fact that it's Rock and Cena, forget about last year. I mean, are you with Joe that it's going to be like, well, this is going to be a great build for a third match a year in 47 days from now?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a redeeming factor, but I think that's where they're going with it. I think we will see it at WrestleMania 30. And I'm not completely against it. Again, you know, and we've said this before, this actually started the year before their first match, at the previous WrestleMania. That's where this all started. So, this is just, you know, the thing is, like, we seem to complain that, you know, they don't spend enough time stretching storylines out, that everything happens so quickly. And this is a good example of how to build a long-term storyline. It's just, we have to look past it. And again, you don't want to talk about it, but we have to look past it, how awful their promos were last year.
I think another factor in that too, Garvin, is that we had awful promos for a very short segment of time.
Right.
I think if there had been a much larger Rock involvement as the months went on, you know, coming back, being in an occasional match, or coming back and cutting a solid promo, I think the build up and the anticipation for it would have been better. I think they fell flat.
Yeah, and we are kind of getting that now. Like, we are going to get that now, where Rock has been back, not as often as he should be, but more often than last year. So we are getting to see both sides of it now. So hopefully this year pays off better than, you know, last year for us.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so Elimination Chamber as a whole. Did you guys like the pay-per-view? I mean, other than how the end of Rock and Punk, not so much what the ending was, but how it ended, as far as the pay-per-view as a whole, do you think it was successful as far as, you know, really exciting you for WrestleMania?
I think it did a pretty good job. It left me wondering what the Shield is going to do next, what Ryback's going to be doing, what could be happening for Dolph. Kofi Kingston gets a random match out of nowhere. So, that was kind of cool to see him get something that, it was Dolph, and we didn't see anything truly strong come out of there. I mean, there's always potential, but.
No, we saw Dolph sell that, whatever the hell, Kofi kicking him off. We saw Dolph sell that like a mother.
Dolph
a full forward flip and then lands on his. Wow.
Yeah, Dolph would do that type of selling for a paper cut. The guy is insane with the selling. But, I mean, I think it was a good build-up. I think I agree that the ending of Punk Rock fell a little flat. It seemed a little rushed. So I think that's really where it was. But, on the whole, it gave us a lot of potential. I'm curious what's going to happen with the U.S. title. Did we even have an IC title match?
No,
I don't think we did.
no. Wade Barrett was not there.
You thought he would be, but he was not.
No, so I mean, we definitely wondering what happened to the Intercontinental title.
Well, what about you, Garv? Redeeming? You thought Elimination Chamber was worth the price of admission?
Well, we went into it, at the beginning of Saturday's conversation and even last week's conversation, thinking it was going to be a throwaway pay-per-view, that nothing was going to really happen. But Joe's right. It really does lead to the next step being WrestleMania. And there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered. And overall, I think the matches that we did get were pretty quality, despite, the shortness of Dolph vs. Kofi. That could have gone longer. They had enough time. Caitlyn and Tamina only got about 4 or 5 minutes. They should have got more time. I think to say it was a great pay-per-view or even a good pay-per-view, I think is a little exaggeration. But it was a decent pay-per-view that was higher than what we expected. It was better than what we expected. So. Yeah,
it almost makes me wonder. I mean, it seems like whenever we have a really, really good Elimination Chamber, like something amazing happens. It almost seems like WrestleMania, maybe it just sets expectations for WrestleMania too high, but it always seems like that WrestleMania is in comparison. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but it's just not what you would expect. So maybe Elimination Chamber, not really, maybe the fact that it didn't do such an amazing job promoting WrestleMania and getting you too excited for it, maybe that'll set expectations a little lower going into it. The fact that we're having a rehash of a main event. Who knows what's going to happen in the intervening, 4 or 5 weeks. For me, I thought the takeaway was the fact that the most exciting thing coming out of Elimination Chamber was the younger talent. Swagger's kind of old, but he still hasn't really hit his stride. Dolph, again, proving that he's main event material. Shield looked amazing. Cesaro, again, Miz. You saw the guys who we keep saying are almost there, who are the future of the WWE, and they're the ones who really delivered in the pay-per-view. It didn't really come from guys like Big Show, Cena to some extent. It didn't really come from Punk or Rock. It was a great match, but let's face it didn't hold a candle to some of the other guys. So that's the most exciting thing for me, is that we're really watching the future of WWE kind of play out in that pay-per-view. The Raw after, however, we always say that it's the Raw after that's always the weakest. This one did not disappoint. I don't know. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about besides the belt? We
got to rehash and elongate the U.S. title match.
That's true.
Cesaro Miz. The two guys work really well together. But it's starting to get into
Del Rio, Sheamus territory, where it's like, oh god, just stop.
Or Christian, one more match, one more match.
Yeah.
Where is his ass anyway?
Christian?
Yeah.
Probably waiting for a debut in TNA.
No.
Christian Cage!
I don't think they take him back. I think they've moved on from where he, fit a role.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Right.
But thinking about Raw, one thing that does intrigue me about Raw is what's going to happen with Paul Heyman and Vince. they're going to have a fight. Well, Vince says they're going to have a fight. That doesn't mean it's a physical confrontation. So we don't know what's going to happen. I like the tension between the developing tension between Vicky Guerrero and the assistant supervisor,
to the managing supervisor.
right? The assistant managing supervisor. Brad Maddox.
Yeah.
So.
For me, I get what you're saying.
They're sparking a little bit of stuff, some of the minor storylines, which I like. Leading into a build up for, Rock versus, Cena Punk, whoever goes in, that we find out next week.
Yeah, here's the thing though, and I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat for this. I mean, I talked about it a little bit on Twitter last night, and I mean, it seems like it was like 50-50 on it. I'm sorry, Sunday night. And it was basically that you have Punk and you have Lesnar, and they both do not have matches. Essentially, they don't have matches going into WrestleMania. And the link between them is Paul Heyman. Now you have Taker and Triple H, and they don't have matches. And you can kind of argue that the link between them could be Vince McMahon. So it's one of those things where I know it's weird, but, we're leading up to WrestleMania. We got these four guys who, I mean, Triple H probably the odd man out, but at least these three guys, Lesnar, Punk, and Taker, you would expect to be at WrestleMania, don't have matches. And the link between Lesnar and Punk is, I mean, is it that tenuous? Is it that far out there? Or do you think there might be something there that could build? I mean, you only got basically 4 Raws, basically, to do this.
Right, but here's the thing. If Taker's not going to come back and have a match, I mean, who would you put him against if not CM Punk? We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
The problem is here, you keep throwing in ha ha ha. And Triple H, a.k.a. ha ha ha, is not going to be in a match. We need WrestleManias away from him before he makes another grand return to the ring.
Okay.
Other than that, it's just, I mean, it's just a reason for him to get into another King of Kings costume.
That always looks so weird. Garv, what do you got?
When you first tweeted this, I thought you were pretty crazy. I thought it was a dumb idea, but at the same time, it is a possibility. I could see it happening. If you take into account what happened last night on Raw, to me, how it came off was that they were stalling. They were stalling another week to find out what's happening with Taker, if they can get Taker to definitely come back for WrestleMania. That's why Punk delayed his match against Cena until next week. At least that's how it came off to me. But
off the top of my head,
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Garvin.
Yeah, Joe, hold on a second. Garv, go ahead. And then we'll kick to Joe real quick.
You guys do an awesome job at interrupting me. Like, you do this every week. Only to say, no,
I think
continue,
you're doing an awesome
go
job
ahead.
interrupting. Not only interrupting you, but interrupting each other to then tell you to continue.
I think it's an okay idea. I don't know if I'd like it. The thing is that I think it would be a huge failure for CM Punk to be involved in that tag team match, knowing that A, he's not involved in the WWE title match, theoretically, if he's involved in this tag match. B, he didn't bring the new title in. And C, he's not even in the main event. So, if that's the direction they go, I feel really bad for CM Punk. And I almost look at this whole 2-year change that he made as a failure. He didn't achieve those main goals that he went out to achieve.
Well,
and he fucked up on the ice cream bars.
Yeah,
that's
did not deliver on
that's
those.
That's number 4.
There you go. Joe, what do you think?
Off the top of my head, maybe the Taker involvement, it's not for this WrestleMania. WrestleMania 30, maybe they start the build up at this WrestleMania for CM Punk versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, there's that possibility too. If they don't think Taker's going to be ring ready now, but he will be a year from now. But then again, he's going to be a year older.
But if he actually takes all that time to train and to get in better shape and eventually, use some Rogaine and some hair dye,
that was going to be some hell of a patch of supplements he's going to have to down for a year in order to get ring ready for WrestleMania.
I'm sure he's taking enough supplements to have children with Michelle McTaker.
Yeah, isn't he
But,
closer to 50 now than he is 40?
He's... see, now you're going to get me to look it up and then get distracted for the rest of the show. But...
All right, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'll look it up when I'm done. But as far as Brock Lesnar goes, I mean, we could end up seeing Brock Lesnar versus somebody. Ryback would be an interesting take.
Maybe. I just like I look at Ryback and I look at Punk. I'm sorry, I look at Lesnar and I look at Punk, and the fact of the matter is that Heyman is the link between them, and I can't help but think, look, Punk's been riding a year with the belt. He's been a heel for a year. Maybe it's time to get the fans to love him again, turn him face, have him turn on Heyman, or Heyman turns on him with Lesnar because he didn't get the job done, whatever. I'm just thinking, going into WrestleMania, there's enough room, I think, between now and WrestleMania to build up a really good match between Punk and Lesnar, given that Heyman could be the one that pushes it. Maybe it's Heyman and Vince, I don't know. Or maybe something. But I'm thinking there's definitely enough time to do that. And if it was Punk versus Lesnar at WrestleMania, I would be okay with that. Yeah, it wouldn't be the WWE title. Yeah, it wouldn't be a three-way match. And Garvin, I see what you're saying about this whole year or these past 2 years almost being a waste, but I think about that and I think that might actually be a pretty good match. And definitely an amazing feud or amazing, lead up to it. I'm assuming Lesnar doesn't actually talk, which I'm guessing he wouldn't.
Yeah, we saw what happened when he talked previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
couldn't even get a whole shout out.
I mean, obviously that there's enough time to build a Lesnar versus Punk match, but it seems so out of left field for me.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's a completely fair point, and I completely come from that. Anyway, so follow up on FTW152. That was last week. Ryan on YouTube wrote in and said, I don't think Brian, not our Brian, but Daniel Bryan, is slipping through the cracks necessarily. He has almost single-handedly breathed new life in the tag team division. I remember saying that. From my view, he has been fantastic and used quite well when looking at the big picture. Do you want to do a quick response to this? Anybody disagree with him on this one, other than the fact that he was totally right and is basically agreeing with me? Garvin?
All right, I'm trying to look at the big picture. Remind me, what has Daniel Bryan and Kane done for the tag team division at all? I mean, outside of their great segments that they had together, who else in the tag division has gotten pushed consistently? Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow are split up. PTP are nowhere to be found as far as push. Usos are still not getting any type of quality TV time. Epico and Primo are basically losing every single match now. That's your tag team division.
Yeah,
Brian,
this
help.
whole
but we have the rise of Brodus and Tensai.
Okay.
No, this whole
But
this
that's,
whole argument
that's different. That's different, Harrison. And the thing is that yes,
Joe did.
Daniel Bryan, fantastic. Love the guy, awesome beard, great in the ring. But he's not helped the tag division. We thought that there was a lot of potential that they could, but nothing has improved in the tag team division at all. We just have new people holding the belts.
No, this whole argument that we had, where I kind of got my hat, where we basically screamed at each other for an entire episode months and months ago. It got its leg completely taken out in about November. By about mid-November into December, it was basically being shown that no, this was not going to be a new tag division. Primetime players were keyed up. They were ready. I'm telling you, they were main event tag team championship ready. Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes looked amazing. There was huge potential here. Nothing happened. And I think it was the fact, pick your poison on why it happened, but it didn't happen. So yeah, this looking at the big picture, if you want to save the big picture up until Thanksgiving, yes. After that, no. Joe?
Yeah, you guys can write the checks out to Rob and I, because this is what we said was probably going to end up happening, what we didn't want to see happen. Yeah, nice thumbs down, Harrison. But
I just spit all over my computer.
But yeah, no, we said that this is what was we figured was gonna happen, is that they'd have something to watch the tag team division for, and all the other tag teams would become cannon fodder. And essentially that's what happened.
Yeah.
It sucks. I wish I was going to be wrong.
Right,
It had sparks of it turning around.
Yeah, it
Like,
did.
you don't need
No, I
multiple,
know.
Right.
Yeah. And,
It did,
you know,
yeah.
you
But
you
not
say,
that.
oh, you didn't wish you know, you don't wish you were wrong. Bullshit. I would love to see a thriving tag team division. I love watching tag team wrestling. Get your mind out of the gutter when I'm talking about tag teams. Yeah, I just wish that they could do more. Daniel
Right.
Bryan, Garvin's right, is excellent. It gave Kane something to do. They had some hilarious segments. But on the whole, yeah, Garvin's exactly right.
Okay. Speaking of which, let's just move on with Garvin being right. How about this? Fandango. We've been seeing video packages for his debut. I'm not going to say it the way they say it, but
Fandango.
all I can think about is what's his face from Mike Tyson's Super Punch Out.
Don Flamenco.
Don Flamenco. Thank you. That's all I can think
But
about. when I
Wade
do this
Barrett
stuff.
had the look because he'd come to the ring and he had the flower and
And the
everything.
rose and all that stuff. Yeah. See, the links are there, people. The links are there. You just gotta follow the threads. Anyway, what if they do the opposite of how they brought in Brodus, where basically instead of having a monster type build and turn the basically guy into a soft dancer, what if it was a soft dancer who turns into a monster type character? Do you think that would be intriguing, Joe?
A dancer who turns into a monster. So basically like Festus, but dancing.
Yes.
That would be idiotic, and I would feel that the entire viewing audience would become stupid.
It would be Festus
They already
it would be Festus with dancing and a certain Spanish flair. Garth, what do you think? Well, I'm sorry, Joe, continue.
Stupid.
Okay.
Although, if Johnny Curtis is going to be snapping off like 50,000 hurricanranas and I don't know, doing some high kicks, make sure he kicks high, and that'd be awesome.
Right.
But
Garv, you got a rejoiner for that one?
Well, I just think I think it's a possibility. The thing is that they just look at how they built Brodus Clay before he turned up into what he is now. I mean, it shocked everyone, and everyone was pissed as far as the IWC. And what if? I mean, this is a quality idea, and it'll be a great troll move for the WWE to basically build this guy as this non-serious dancer guy, and basically make him into kind of like even I don't know, you can't really call him a monster because he's not anywhere near Brodus Clay's size, but like an Antonio Cesaro type build to him. If they treated him like that, I think that'd be a nice touch, and it would definitely make it more interesting. Right now, as long as we have Santino and guys like Zack Ryder and obviously Brodus Clay and Tensai, there's no room for another joke character like this.
Yeah, that's almost the worry that would happen to him. WrestleMania 30 has been booked and will be held in the Superdome in New Orleans. Looking forward to that. It's just going to be an amazing graphics package when they bust that out. I didn't know it. Santino had surgery on his neck this week, but hopes to be back in the ring soon. Don't know which ring, most likely a dark match ring, but a wrestling ring nonetheless. Definitely won't be on TV. Apparently, Jack Swagger's new gimmick is causing a stir, both extreme Tea Party members and those who dislike the Tea Party. So WWE is hitting something pretty hot with this, like we saw at the top of the show when Garvin busted, when Joe bought out the Rush Limbaugh and Garvin ran and said no, and so yeah.
I'll just clarify.
It'll be interesting to see what happens to this. Oh no, it's fine. It's perfectly okay, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Because let's face it, if the WWE can get other people outside of us talking about their product, they're going to keep hitting that red button as hard as they can. So if this does it, I fully expect this the heat to be turned to 11. Hands, no doubt. At some point, they're going to keep going until they go too far, and then they're going to either back it up or just pull the ripcord and get out of there. I have no doubt they're sprinting for that line right now, for what they can do. All right, so WrestleMania 29, the big one. Join us this Saturday before, April 6th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FTWLive.com for our WrestleMania preview conversation. For right now, this is essentially where the card is shaping up. The only two official matches we have right now is Rock versus Cena for the WWE Championship and Del Rio or Dolph versus Jack Swagger for the World Championship. And any one of these, once again, could change at any time because we got 5 weeks to go. Other things is probably Tag Team Championship match, maybe. Del Rio versus Big Show. If Dolph cashes in, that might happen. Miz versus Cesaro, if that thing keeps going. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Wade, Bo Dallas, Tamina, Caitlyn. All these people should have matches. We should see them on the card. Really, we got 5 weeks to figure it out. All right, it is time to shift gears and start talking about some TNA. First thing on the docket that I want to talk about with you, Garb, is, basically you posted a story on FTWpodcast.com in our little blog section where you said, what should TNA do, essentially, with the TV title? Basically you're just asking the question, should they just drop the whole why it isn't being defended every week, and that we should just let it go as far as, the promise that they made on the TV title? You want to give us a quick synopsis about that and kind of defend your story a little bit?
Well, first let me kick the Rob. Rob? Oh, wait, he's not here. All right, so, yeah, basically, this started...
He probably fell into that deep dish pizza.
They're pretty
Oh,
heavy
I gotta
somewhere
say,
there.
I'm not
With
going to
sweet corn.
next week when he's on.
You're interrupting me again, and it's going to make me angry.
Yeah.
All right, so this all started with a tweet. I sent a tweet to Devon, who is actually very, very active on Twitter. He gets back to people who send him messages that are halfway coherent. And I basically asked, when are we going to see him defend the TV title on Impact again? And his response, which was like within 5 minutes, basically was like, I'm defending it almost every night. For some reason, they just don't. They don't air it. That's really, really odd. That you have a guy working as hard as Devon has, at house shows, at tapings, and they're not airing those videos. That's weird. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV freaking title. Should it be televised?
Well, and before we jump on that, I mean, the thing is that wasn't always the case. That's not the role of the TV championship. It's just that's how they announced it within the last 5 months. 5 months ago they said, all right, it's gonna be defended every week, and that's what we expected because we loved it. We thought it was awesome. That was like a change, a very welcome change, and then they just stopped.
By we, you mean you, because you were the one who went on and on and on ad nauseum about it. Rob, someone agreed with you, and I don't think Joe and I really, I don't want to say cared, but I remember being really cynical about the idea of TNA defending this title week in, week out, especially because, they only have the one show, and they got to cram all that on there. Can you, looking back on it, Garb, can you really tell me that you expected 100% for TNA to defend an additional belt on when they only have 2 hours of programming every week?
Let's not forget that Impact is not their only show. They also have Explosion. I'd be fine with it being on Explosion. Yes, us in the United States can only access it on YouTube or on TNA ondemand.com. But that's still an area. I mean, let's look at this week's Impact, okay? This week's Impact, we devoted 4 out of 5 matches to the World Championship race. You're telling me that they couldn't put a TV title match there? Especially when Angle versus Joe went to no contest. Rude and Aries went to a double countout. I mean, those are both storyline matches that could have taken 5 minutes each, legitimately. You could have thrown a Devon TV title match in there. That's what I'm saying. There is opportunity there to put that type of match, to put Devon in the ring, and I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not the Aces and Eights storyline because this started before he joined. This started at the tail end of his contract when he left for that month and a half, because whatever they were doing with his contract. But I mean, like even when Samoa Joe got the title, he didn't defend it every week. So it's definitely something to do with the title itself, and I don't understand. I think there is room on the card, but at the same time, there is also room on the card for X Division stuff. There's also room on the card for more knockouts action, and they aren't giving anyone that time. Tag teams, they're not giving that time too. So,
whatever.
And for the record, I fully expected them to showcase that title. If they're going to say Devon's going to defend it every week, you're going to put it on every week. I don't care if it's a DQ every week. I don't care if it's a 2-minute match against Robbie E, and that's giving Robbie E a little too much credit. It's just, I expected it. I expected at least 80%.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if they didn't say anything, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The thing is that, they are a company that's been taking chances and really trying to do new things that can be exciting. There are risks for sure, but they're saying every month we're going to have an open fight night. They're still doing that. Every month we're going to do a gut check thing. They're still doing that. So why can't they devote at least one match a month to the TV title?
Yeah, you figured at least make an appearance on, let's say, every pay-per-view or so. And the fact is, we didn't even get that. And although the pay-per-view situation has changed in TNA, we went months without seeing that damn thing. So there is something to be said for that. Regardless, Garvin put up an interesting article. You should definitely check it out. FTWpodcast.com. Click on the blog section, and you'll see our finest works written exclusively by Garvin on there about what they should do with the TV title. All right. Hogan, if you remember, gave 8 men an opportunity to prove themselves and give them a reason to grant them a lockout title shot against Jeff Hardy. Through, interferences, no contests, and double countouts. What we're left with, essentially, is basically, Garvin, if I'm reading this correctly, Magnus and James Storm.
Well,
now, do you see them having a lead?
Sorry, I interrupted
fuck you. Don't feel good too good now, does it?
Yeah.
No, but my point is, let me just lead you with the question so that way you can respond appropriately, and then we can make an interesting show. Okay. Basically, we're essentially down to Magnus and Storm, assuming that's the case. Do you see them going with a feud on this? Do you see it coming down to a tournament? There's probably going to have to be some kind of match leading up to lockdown. Or do you maybe throw somebody else's name in there? What do you think?
Well, the reason I'm throwing those two guys in there is because they won their matches. They're the only ones that won a match in this group of 8. Like I said before, we had Aries and Rude ended in a double countout. Angle and Joe ended in no contest. There's obviously other things that they're going to do with those guys that don't involve the World Championship. So looking at it, Magnus won his match against Christopher Daniels. James Storm won his match against RVD. So yeah, those are the two guys that should be getting at least the opportunity. If that's like another match to determine, or maybe Hogan does decide like he said he was going to, but he didn't.
Okay, assuming that's the case, and you do make a strong case for it, the fact that Magnus and Storm were the only ones who have won their matches. Storm's the better candidate. Magnus is, again, we keep saying he's just lacking that little thing that could make him a decent main eventer. And for some reason, he still has not found it. So either do you take the chance of putting him in the main event against Jeff Hardy at Lockdown, or do you go, you know what, we got to play it a little safe here with this new pay-per-view schedule. Let's have James Storm versus Jeff Hardy. Whoever retains, whatever. But do you really want to go with Magnus in that? Do you want to roll the dice with Magnus on that one?
Well, I'm torn. The thing is that we don't know what's going on with James Storm. If James Storm was going to get a solid title shot, he would have gotten it already.
Yeah.
So
that is a fair point. Yeah.
Do they roll the dice with Magnus? I don't see why not. But like you said, James Storm is the strongest of the two when you compare them. But at the same time, I'm going to say that they probably will roll with James Storm. I think Magnus is still getting the nice push because they're doing these shows in the UK. So I think that helps Magnus a little. But as far as back into the States, especially when they start going through Chicago and everywhere else they're going to go for Impact, I don't think it's going to be as nice for Magnus. I think it's going to be nice for James Storm, and you've got to push that guy. I don't know, but Magnus is kind of the heel, sort of, in the States. He was, at least, sort of. I don't know. They keep changing everyone, so I don't know.
Well, the thing with Magnus is I always wondered why they couldn't run with Magnus and Samoa Joe. But I guess, it runs into the same problem that we ran into with James Storm. It's like, well, Samoa Joe, we keep saying he's such a great worker. Why aren't they using him more? We just keep getting report after report of a reason why. So it's one of those backstage politics things. I don't know. It's hard to speculate on that kind of thing, and I've never been a fan of it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to be back in the States this week. They're going to be in Detroit. So I firmly believe we are not going to see Magnus get nearly as much camera time as he has. I think they're going to back it down a little bit because let's face it, they were in the UK for the past 4 weeks. Well, they were in the UK for the past 4 weeks, and he really wasn't getting the kind of, the kind of crowd reaction you would expect, I mean, it wasn't lukewarm. It was the UK, so, they knew what they were doing over there.
And it
but
also wasn't
you would have
consistent.
expected more.
But it also
That
wasn't
too.
consistent. He showed up on the first Impact in the UK and did his little segment with Christopher Daniels and Kaz. Had his match, I think it was with Devon. But then he was off the week after, and then he was back this week. So it's not like he's getting it's not like he's getting a solid push in the UK. I just think he's getting the push that he is because he's English.
Right, and you would expect that, okay, if TNA is like, well, we're going to put you out there a couple times, let's see what the crowd says, you're in your home turf, if you can get a reaction out of them, then we know we can build something here, and you really didn't see it. Again, it doesn't make sense, because the guy, he seems to have it all, except for that last bit to take him to what he needs to do. It's like he's at 90, he just needs to get to 100, and it seems like, and I love that it looks like TNA is at least determined to try and find that 10%. They're like, we know, I think they can find it. I think they know that they can find it. And it'll just be, but then again, are we still going to be talking about this guy the same way we have been for the past few months, a year from now, where we're going to be going, that Magnus, he's got it. He just needs that little extra.
Yeah.
I mean,
Regardless,
Push
though,
comes to shove, push comes to shove, you can always go back to the international version of American Gladiators, where he did fight in the UK.
yeah. That's a good point. Thank you, Joe. You were saying, Kurt?
regardless of who gets that push, if it's Magnus or if it's James Storm, I'm okay with either match.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they both deserve something.
Yeah, and Jeff Hardy, it'll be really, really interesting to watch the build going into lockdown because Jeff Hardy's essentially had 3 weeks off. It'll be interesting to see, he's had a chance to kind of, take a breather, relax. He's had a lot thrown at him from TNA, and he's handled it very well. So now he's had a chance to kind of take 3 weeks off and kind of absorb it all. Now he's going to come back. I fully expect to see Jeff Hardy to be even better form going forward leading into lockdown, and especially that lockdown match. Whoever his opponent is, I have high hopes for it. Just given the fact that, how well he's handled this past 4 to 5 months, and then now he's had a break. I mean, you can almost say the whole visa thing worked in his favor for that reason. So it'll be great to see what happens going forward. The other things I want to talk about is Corey wrote an article on our website. What's next for Aces and Eights? Basically, the article goes into what Aces and Eights needed to do to be successful from his point of view. Basically, he just a bullet point it. They look weak, and they can't win a match worth winning. They don't have a serious contender for the world title. They only got Devon with the TV title, and as we talked about earlier, you barely see that at all. Wes, Knox, Doc, and Garrett are all rumored to be playing playing a part. The other guys who have been rumored are Jeff Jarrett, Eric Bischoff, and D'Lo. But none of those names really have any type of impact. I do disagree with Eric Bischoff, but we'll get into that a little bit. Devon turning was a good surprise, he says, and so was Taz, but the rest were expected. They need more unexpected surprises. And Corey lists a few things that could really work, both in-ring and out of the ring. In-ring, he mentions Batista, and out of the ring could be, and I'm not joking here, Warrior. I don't see that happening at all. But I do want to discuss with you, Garvin. It's a good article. It lays it out in very clear terms where Corey's coming from on this. But the only thing I disagree with is I really do think if Eric Bischoff came in as Aces and Eights, it would be huge.
No, it would be a major letdown. The thing is, and like Corey said, the whole deal with Wes Briscoe, Knox, Doc, Garrett Bischoff, everyone knew, at least the IWC knew that those guys were involved. They also know that Eric Bischoff and D'Lo are involved as far as playing the characters in the masks. So if those are your next guys, then they aren't really making any surprises. Your surprises so far are Taz and Devon, but neither are huge impacts. Sure, they made a difference, No one expected Devon, and that's cool. no one expected Taz, and that initially was cool, but now is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Overall, they need to do something big. They need a world championship contender. And I completely agree with Corey. This is something that we've been saying for weeks now. Is Batista it?
Yeah.
No, I hope not. But
Well,
that is a big
there's-
name. It is a big name. It's a name that we all we all pretty much despise. But
Well,
Batista is a big name.
well, no one loves. Well,
Rob's happy about it.
Sure.
yeah, I gotta say, we gotta defend Batista because Rob's not here.
Yeah,
we gotta
yeah,
give
okay.
Rob.
I'm sorry.
I got your back. I'll defend Batista here for Rob because Rob's not here. Rob would easily say that because of Batista's amazing work in MMA and the fact that TNA is trying to reach out to more MMA, it makes sense for Batista to come in. And Batista has the size and the talent and honestly, Rob would also argue really good mic work in order to say that maybe Batista could be the new face of Aces and Eights. Because let's face it, if anybody was panning the fact that Taz turned Aces and Eights, it was Rob. So there is that. There is that hole to fill.
Well, sure.
He's gonna mail me so many sharp knives attached to springs that are gonna hit me when I open the box. Because let's be honest, shitting on deep dish pizza is one thing. I can shit on deep dish pizza and hockey all day. If I imply that he likes Dave Batista, he just goes full tilt. I mean, it's like the meter just pegs and it doesn't shake. It's just there. I know we hate on Batista. It's not that bad of a name.
No,
and
it's not.
I know, and neither is, and this one's gonna, you guys are gonna hate me for this, and I'm just gonna say it, maybe John Morrison.
Well-
But there's,
Dun dun dun.
yeah, I mean, look, the free agent market is thin, alright? If these are the names that got hit, I don't know. I mean, maybe Matt Morgan. I
But
know
that's
they got
thing.
the whole thing going on with him, but
you need a big time player that can compete for the world title. And they don't have that. Batista sure could, but then you're going back to the idea
Yeah.
that we're having ex WWE wrestlers lead in TNA, and that's not a good thing. John Morrison, no. And
yeah.
What about the possibility of your final two reveals being Jeff Jarrett and then Sting for some reason?
well, still you're still in the same boat. I mean, I'm okay with Eric Bischoff being involved. I'm okay with Jeff Jarrett being involved. Those are all guys that have been rumored from the beginning. But you still need that star guy, the guy that's going to fight for the title. And you don't have that.
Yeah,
Jeff
Sting.
Jarrett's not going to. Sting, shut the hell up. Sting is
no.
awful. I mean, Sting was great 10 years ago. He's not great anymore. He's not going to lead the company, or he shouldn't. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. He should not be leading the company holding the top title. Jeff Jarrett shouldn't be. Mr. Anderson shouldn't be. None of these guys in Aces and Eights right now.
You just had to slide that name in there. It wouldn't be a show if Garvin didn't slam Mr. Anderson.
Because he is involved in Aces and Eights, I left him out of the previous conversation. But yeah, I just think, does it need to be, an ex-WWE guy? No. Does it need to be a current guy on the TNA roster, like an AJ Styles, like a Samoa Joe? That would be nice, but it doesn't need to be that. It could be, a guy like Bradley that we saw in Gut Check. Some other names that people are throwing out in the live chat, like Adam Pearce. Maybe some other call-ups from ROH. Sure. You just need a high-impact guy that can actually do something in the ring, and they don't have it right now. And as long as they don't
ROH or OVW?
Either.
See, the thing, I think, and this is something that Corey hinted at, but he didn't really go into, and that, Garvin, I completely agree with you. They need someone high impact for the world title belt. But not only that, in my opinion, they need in one motion to not only have someone, but to take someone from TNA, which is why I'm really thinking they really should have someone that's already in TNA in the World Heavyweight title picture that TNA could rely on, like Samoa, well, maybe not Samoa Joe, but someone like Angle. Well, Angle wouldn't work, but Aries, Rude, maybe Storm makes the switch. Who knows? You got to get somebody that not only the fact that the Aces and Eights have them, but that TNA no longer does. It's a huge loss, and it's that kind of switch I think needs to happen in order for the momentum to turn too, and maybe prove something interesting to happen all the way to lockdown. That's where I'm coming from with it. Joe and Garvin. Joe?
Yeah, going all the way back to when this storyline started, did Aces and Eights ever go after Abyss?
Yeah, they kidnapped him. Oh, well, not in the
No,
beginning.
that
Later
was-
on.
that was
well, no,
Bully.
they didn't.
Bully took
Yeah,
out Abyss.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to go back because
Fantastic Park.
God only knows what they're gonna do with the multiple personalities of Joseph, Chris, whoever Park. Maybe it's Abyss. I don't know. I'm throwing out ideas. Guys who I know could do well for a while in the main event picture, and the Abyss character could.
Yeah, you don't necessarily
All right,
need
sure.
a big name. You just need someone who looks the part. Not only, like the biker part, but also that can actually do some damage in the ring. And they don't have that right now. They don't have it.
It's been too long, man. It's been so long since. I mean, first off, Aces and Eights have never competed for that belt. It's been so long for a decent payoff where you were like, "Whoa, okay, this is going to be huge," and then it just kept getting better. We got that, like you were saying, a little bit with Devon, a little bit with Taz, but never really panned out. At this point, I mean, for me to watch this and really have one of those mark out moments where you're like, "Holy crap, this is going to be awesome." Like when Hogan turned for NWO, it wasn't the fact that Hogan became NWO, it's that WCW no longer had him. That's what they need. They need to take someone from TNA, put him in Aces and Eights, and switch the momentum on him. And I think that would be an amazing shot in the arm for the storyline, at least for me, going into lockdown. As far as, reaction on our Facebook group, on the Impact Facebook group, Stardog Champion, said this story better have a good, and I mean good, revelation at lockdown. There's no way in hell the writing team is stupid enough to drag this angle long enough to have a lame conclusion, assuming that there is a conclusion at lockdown.
I'll take that bet.
You'll take that bet? All right. Could hit him up on Facebook. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to throw down a few bills. D
T-shirt.
from
We'll put a T-shirt on it.
We'll put a T-shirt up for it. Nice. D from the Impact Facebook group said, I wouldn't bank on thinking it's someone that's out of this world. Don't get your hopes too high. I just hope that they have a leader, not be a revelation like D-Lo. That would be pretty dull, and they might as well just wrap up the whole thing and start new for March 14th. Chris from the same Impact Facebook group said, if I were to hand select a leader, it would be AJ Styles and this is why I brought it up, John Morrison. Yeah, I don't know about AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles would be more awesome than John Morrison, only because if John Morrison came to TNA, we would have to eat our words when we made fun of Garvin for mentioning that he should go to TNA. That was a fun show. All right, so we got Lockdown coming up Thursday, March 7th. I'm sorry, join us Thursday, March 7th, 2013 at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, directly after Impact goes off the air for our Lockdown 2013 preview conversation. We'll have a full card by then. It should be interesting. All we know right now is that Jeff Hardy's going to be defending the world title, and we should have Aces and Eights versus Sting Bully and maybe a couple other people. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out as we lead through the coming months. Garvin, you got a point?
Yeah, these two matches are going to be inside of the cage. Aces and Eights
So they are
versus
both
Sting and Bully is going to be part of the Lethal Lockdown
Lethal
match.
Lockdown.
So you got to expect Devon's going to take part in it. They'll probably throw Doc and Mike Knox in there. I don't think that they would go with Garrett or Wes Briscoe, but maybe if it's like a 5-on-5 or a 6-on-6, they might. But no, I don't know.
6-on-6 for a Lethal Lockdown match? It's going to get crowded in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, neither. Well, maybe Wes Briscoe, but I don't see Garrett Bischoff playing a role in that. I think Lashley was 5-on-5. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I think it was 5-on-5 too. But when you get to 6, 7, I mean, at that point, you might as well do what WWC or WCW did and like have like the 3 rings.
The World War III match?
The World War III match, yeah. Oh, that was awesome. Just because they had so many cameras going. I love the little box on box on box so you can kind of track what's going on. It was like watching too many sports teams at the bar. All right, it is now time for Ask FTW. You ask, we answer. And we're going to, basically the way this works is, sorry, I'm going to reset my timer. You can send us topics to talk about via email to questions@ftwpodcast.com. Shoot them to us on Twitter by using the Ask FTW hashtag. You can post on our Facebook wall or Google Plus community, now with over like 8,000 members or something. It's crazy over there. Or even leaving a comment on... Yeah, that's a lot more than last time I checked. It was like 28 last time I checked. Or by leaving a comment on our site. So basically you have no excuse now, and you have to do it. Just come on, get him in. It'll be awesome. Gary on Facebook said, after Elimination Chamber, do you think that WWE has done the correct thing by making their pay-per-views less predictable? What do you think about that, Joe?
I think that's well, I initially read that and heard that wrong. I think that they it's the correct thing, but I think I predicted just about everything on that last pay-per-view, so I don't know where that falls.
Okay. Really? I mean, just a humble brag and then lead over to the, well, I don't know how it's like. I predicted everything right.
If I see it coming, I can't say they've been doing less predictable pay-per-views. I mean,
All right, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. All right, Garvin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how you're looking at it. It's not that it's not predictable. I mean, you could predict the ending of every single match. I think it was different than what Gary thought. So I don't know, but overall, are they making the right decisions? I don't know. I don't really have an answer for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, it's a hard question to answer. No, you're right. It's a hard question to answer because the thing about Elimination Chambers, it's never really proven valid until we get to WrestleMania. Because then you kind of look back at it in hindsight and go, oh, this makes a lot more sense now, or oh, this was a great build. So as of right now, Elimination Chamber is just supposed to get you excited for the lead up to WrestleMania and the build. You know, this is kind of like, okay, now we're putting in sixth gear, let's floor it and let's get us there. For me, it did that. I'm really excited about the Shield. I'm really excited to see what Daniel Bryan and Kane do going into it. Rock Cena should be better than last year. I want to see what's going to happen with Punk, what's going to happen with Lesnar, although Lesnar wasn't present on the pay-per-view. So for me, yeah, it was good. I don't know if it was correct because it was less predictable, because I mean, you kind of saw half of it coming, but it is a very hard question to answer. Robert in the live chat asks, who's the next guy to challenge for the WWE Championship besides CM Punk? Assuming coming out of WrestleMania, whoever's holding it. Who has the right to, well, who has the right to the contendership out of WrestleMania? Joe.
for the WWE Championship, I guess it all depends on if it's John Cena or The Rock who walks away with it. If it's Cena, you've got, well, I guess either way, you've got Orton, you've got Lesnar, you've got Ryback, who never seemed to get a clean win or, you know, a truly decisive win without the Shield getting involved. You've got guys in the Shield who could possibly do it. You've got so many options. It's going to be in the next month that we're going to determine who is going to be the next in line. Somebody's going to gain some legs, and it's not going to be The Miz.
Okay. That's a fair point. Garv, what do you think?
I could see Ryback in there. Maybe, you know, depending on what happens at WrestleMania with Wade Barrett, you can throw Wade Barrett into that mix. We also have Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. Don't forget about those two. But I think the big name that we're probably challenging for it is Ryback.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For me, the next big guy besides Punk, I don't know about Ryback. Lesnar makes more sense to me just because Ryback's so green. But yeah, like Joe said, I mean, you got Orton, Sheamus probably. He's had the World Heavyweight Championship. He could probably kind of make that shift over to the WWE Championship. It does kind of depend if it's going to be Rock or Cena, because if it's going to be Cena, then we're going to see it a whole lot more. If it's going to be Rock, we're probably not going to see that belt defended until SummerSlam. So I can't see Rock defending that, winning that belt. So then we could just not see it for the next, few weeks, and then he's going to cut a couple promos while he's off shooting some new movie, who knows, or some new milk commercial. So for me, I would have to say probably Orton or Sheamus would be the ones I would pick. Derek in the live chat asks, should Jerry Lawler go to SmackDown and Bradshaw come to Raw? Oh, you're going to know my answer to this one. Joe.
I think Bradshaw should be on both shows, and I think Jerry Lawler should take some time off. I don't find Jerry Lawler entertaining. I'm glad he came back from the heart attack, and he's doing well. But I think his time as color commentator is past.
Yeah! Garv, what do you got?
Nothing. I got nothing else to add. That's it.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. But again, I'm gonna, dig back into my old well and say I'd like to see more Matt Striker and Cole, just because I think they work so well together. But Cole and JVL work just as well. So yeah, I mean, once again, happy as hell that Jerry Lawler's alive. Please go away. All right. Garvin wants to know, what one change would you make to fix the WWE? Garvin wants to know. There are not two Garvins. I don't think I could take that. What one change would you take to fix the WWE tag team division? Joe,
One change.
I got mine.
It's tough, but
Not
I
really.
would say more tag team matches.
Yeah. No, that's an awesome answer. I can't believe I didn't even think of that one. Okay. Garv, what was the one change you would make?
That was my second option. My first option, though, the Shield. You put the Shield in the tag
three
team
of them.
division, and that would be phenomenal.
Freebird 'em, baby.
No, that's a fair point. For me, primetime players. These guys, they're great, and I mean, well, okay, one of them's great, but I really think they got to do something like that. They got to take a branded They got to take a branded tag team, put the belt on them, get them out there at least every week. I mean, you've got 17 hours of programming every week. There's no reason why these guys can't show up on Ion or on main events, or they could do something on SmackDown. I mean, they don't have to be on Raw, but they can have at least a few tag team matches here and there, build up some kind of tournament. I don't know. But Joe, you're 100% right. They got to actually, in order for the tag team division to thrive, you need to actually show tag team matches. All right, my question for you guys is: we've delayed it long enough. We're at the end of the show, and we're pretty much ahead of time. So let's have a decent discussion about this. On Raw last night, The Rock walked out with a new belt. We posted on our Facebook page, posted a picture of it. It's been kind of 50-50. Hate, absolute hate, or absolute love. No one's really been, 50-50 on it. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Joe, what are your thoughts about the new WWE belt?
We're going more than 30 seconds on this?
Yeah. We got
Okay.
We're
I've got pros and cons. Do I like it? Yeah, it's better than the spinner belt. That's job one. I've hated the spinner belt for quite some time. So I think it's a better looking belt than the spinner belt. That being said, I think the giant W, the way they've got it, I understand it's a company logo and it's the WWE belt, but I prefer a more classier looking belt like the Wing title or the Undisputed Championship. No smoking skulls here. One thing I do not like about the new belt is the fact that there is no place for an actual nameplate. I know that makes it easier at least to pass it around. And they've got those little side panels that right now have the Brahma Bull on them. I kind of like the idea, but what if you put it on a guy who doesn't exactly have a logo? What do you do for CM Punk?
Punk's got a logo.
You
Just
put a
say that.
Pepsi logo on there?
Punk's got a logo. I mean, that's the thing. He's got the hand with the lightning bolt. That's the thing.
All right.
Oh, okay. I don't want to.
Do you put a Jimmy John's logo if Lesnar gets the title?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, why not? Garv, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as far as the nameplate issue, I think that's okay. Because you can change those side panels, it's acceptable. It's different. And I think that's the main thing. It's different. Regardless of what we got, if it was a new title, I think we would still be in the same spot, regardless of what it was. Just because it's so different, we don't know necessarily how to take it. It's too soon to tell. I think let's sit on this for a couple weeks and then make a real firm decision on whether or not we like it. Because right now, like, if CM Punk brought this, and let's be honest, if CM Punk brought this title in, it would still be as weird to us as it is now, but we'd be more accepted of it because it was CM Punk and he said he was going to bring the title and he brought the title for us, kind of thing. With The Rock bringing the title, we're not really for The Rock, generally speaking, and I think because of that, we're there's more of a negative vibe attached to it.
I would have to say that I kind of look at this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do actually like the look of this belt. It's definitely a classier looking belt, but I think that Punk having the old title for so long, I think that it's almost like they closed the door on the Cena era that it was for so long. I mean, hence the spinner belt. And now we're starting a new era. And after having that title for that long, it's a good shutting the door on that point, and then now we're moving forward.
Yeah, and it's all about the shock value of it because it's so different than what we've had. We're negative on it, but honestly, I don't think it's a bad title. I think if it was something from the past, and really, I think Cody Rhodes and the Intercontinental Championship spoiled us. We were kind of expecting them to go back to an older version of the title, like the undisputed WWE title or the Winged Eagle. That's what we would have all been happy with. But because we didn't get that, this looks off to us. But I think overall, it's like you said, Joe. It's the start of a new era, and I think we should be excited about it. Us sitting here and bickering over how awful the title looks, I think is kind of small-minded for the IWC in general. I think there's more things to be concerned with than this. This is a good thing now as far as the catapult into the future.
Yeah, and I just want to say how seemingly redundant it is to say Winged Eagle. Because it's not like they're going to put a non-Winged Eagle on the title.
The Wingless Eagle.
The Wingless Eagle. I'd pay for that belt. All right. Professionally, I do something akin to this, but when I look at this belt, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this is completely in line with what WWE's been doing over the past 2 to 3 years, and that is they've been moving away from having, when you buy a T-shirt for the WWE, you're buying a catchphrase and a logo, and what they're doing is they're branding their individual wrestlers, and they're using that to carry it through. So it makes sense for the WWE title to have those side pods like we have with the Brahma Bull, and whoever gets it next is going to have their particular logo on it. Cena will have the C, Punk will have the fist with the lightning bolt. Everybody's kind of getting their own logo as far as what they go, and that translates to merchandise sales and those kind of things, and reinforces the brand every time they're going to come out with it. So imagine Miz is going to walk out with the WWE title, and I'm guessing it would have the WWE upside down, but that would be his logo. The belt itself, a lot of the complaints on here that I've seen is that a lot of people saying it looks too simplistic. It looks lazy. There are a lot of people
was needed.
Well, hang on. A lot of people are saying that they draw parallels between this and the Jeff Hardy belt because, it's just that you could tell that they worked really hard on the Jeff Hardy belt. And I can tell you right now, a lot of people worked hard on this. Good design is not about putting as much stuff in it as you can. Good design is not only knowing good design, but knowing when to stop. And you could tell there were a lot of people who went back and forth on this, and I can pretty much guess that they modeled this off of essentially a Super Bowl ring is what they wanted. They wanted something, an iconic, simplistic shape that is instantly recognizable and that is also scalable. And I would not be surprised if you could not also buy this as a belt, as a replica belt with your favorite WWE superstar logo on the side, but also buy maybe a small ring version of this, or you could have it translates very well to a variety of different media that they put it on. So as far as that goes, I got to say it's an unmitigated success as far as what they did with it and what they had to do with it. Well, I guess Joe put his hand up first. We'll go to Joe.
All right. So, I mean, I think you're right. They did spend $50,000 working on this belt.
I believe
and you had mentioned they did a good job with the Jeff Hardy belt. I think you are a moron.
I didn't say that.
Who said that?
I'm not going to call him out. Robert C. said he thinks it looks better and that they put more time. Robert C. on our Facebook page said that
Jeff
it looks
Hardy
better
belt,
and they look more time into it.
The Jeff Hardy belt looks like you cut it out of construction paper and then glued it onto just metal and then cut around it.
It's definitely
terrible. Yeah. But the WWE one, you're right. I mean, hell, you can already buy the belt at www.shop.com. As far as selling side plates, I can't wait for the Brodus Clay one that's going to be a little disco ball with the little disco tiles all over it.
If he wins it.
Oh, they're going to sell it regardless, man.
Probably.
But it's definitely a classier title. And I like that the shape replicates the U.S. title shape, but a bit bigger.
Yeah, that's another good point, too. Garth?
But just to go back, when we first saw, I mean, honestly, I think we've all seen the prototypes that appeared maybe 6 to 8 months ago. and nothing really has changed on it except for those prototypes are all gold, while this has the the black in the background. But I think Harrison, and I'll give you credit for this, I think your description of it still makes sense, and that is it looks more like a ring than it does a belt.
Well, that's when they originally
But
released
not a wrestling ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a class
Well,
ring.
Right.
Yeah, or a Super Bowl ring. But when they originally released
Justin's.
if you remember when those prototypes went out, and I'm willing to bet that was WWE sending up a test balloon to kind of like soften the ground before we hit. I remember we talked about it, and that was one of the things I think that Rob and I were talking about, is that it doesn't look like a belt, it looks like a ring, which is why we were like, it's probably not the final design. That was probably just a 3D rendering that they put a gold texture to and then sent to WrestleZone.com for their exclusive. For me though, yeah, it's just like Joe said, it's got that iconic, just like the U.S. title, it's got that iconic shape. It's not gauche, and the thing that I like about it is that it's a timeless design. The thing about the wing belt that Joe loves so much, and that it is a good belt, aside from the font, I hate the typeface on it. It is an iconic belt for that era. This isn't tied to one person or to like the Attitude Era or anything like that. This is a belt that you could, aside from the logo, you could easily see this type of belt in any era of WWE. For that reason, you have to consider it a success.
That's exactly what they said in the article they did on WWE.com that came out either yesterday or no, it had to come out today.
Well, it's
discussing the design and how long they took to do it, and that's exactly the thing they were trying to get to.
yeah, and that's just one of when I don't want to get too inside baseball, but when you do brand refreshes and things like this, you want to make sure that you hit that type of thing. So like you could like this is a success. A failure would be American Airlines. That was a failure. If you look at American Airlines brand refresh, it looks terrible. They replicated the wing, the tail wing shape, and they put an eagle in the middle, and then they changed the American Airlines font to like just a very basic type of sans serif. Anyway, point being that this is timeless and iconic, which is what you want, and it perfectly represents the brand. And they're going to make a mint off of selling the belt with those side plates that you could buy. I mean, you're going to be able to get a Brahma Bull belt, you can be able to get a Cena belt, you can be able to get a Punk belt, and the list will go on and on and on and on and on. Garth? No? You ready to close out the show, guys?
Let's do
All
it.
right. There we did. We discussed the new WWE belt. Can we just never, ever do it again?
Wait till next week.
All right. It is now time for the wins of the week.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
It is now time for our wins of the week. Go, Joe. Your win of the week.
My win of the week is going to be Jack Swagger winning the Elimination Chamber match. I didn't see it coming. I expected Mark Henry to, but to see Swagger do it and for them to be pushing Swagger hard right into WrestleMania, that's fucking money. It's awesome.
Garvin, your win of the week. Go, Garv.
I should have prepared this. Yeah.
That's not like we do it every show.
My win of the week. I really liked that Elimination Chamber was better than expected. You know, again, we all thought it was going to be a throwaway pay-per-view, and it outshined that. I thought what they're doing and how they're leading into WrestleMania is interesting. Last year was pretty much all predetermined, and we were just kind of motioning into WrestleMania. But this year, it feels a little bit different. Another win goes to the tease of Dolph's cash-in on Raw. I thought that was a nice touch, and I hope they keep doing that.
Yeah. My win of the week is the Shield on Elimination Chamber. Going into it, you didn't know what to expect. I mean, you know, they're going up against the glass ceiling, which is just a great name for them. And they delivered. And they delivered not because of a failure on the part of Sheamus, Ryback, and Cena. They didn't give them the match. The Shield walked in and through essentially the way they did the match, through superior teamwork and tactics, took it. And it was perfectly in line with their storyline and everything else going into it. And I am so excited to see what happens to these three guys going into WrestleMania. I'm just, you know, just individually, coming out of this, I'll be interested to see what happens whenever they finally do break up the Shield and they do stuff with them. All right, from the live chat, Garvin, our reporter from the live chat, I remember them this time. What are their wins for the week?
Great job. All right, Jesse says his wins of the week is Cesaro versus Miz, the no DQ match from Raw, just because that's something that we don't see very often. Really handled nicely. Also Mark Henry getting the double suplex in the chamber, and also the new title. Another win of the week from Robert is the chamber match and Mark Henry making fun of Kali's dance on Raw. From McBrad's, Shield defeating the Breakfast Club. And Nick says the ascension of the new Jack Swagger. Shield breaking the glass ceiling at Elimination Chamber. And Mark Henry. I'll leave it as that.
I don't see Jack Swagger's ascendancy anywhere near over. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, going into SummerSlam, assuming that, there aren't protests outside of every WWE event. And even then, they might keep it going. I don't know.
We, the people.
Sure.
We, the
Yes.
people. We, the people.
Yes, exactly.
Belt.
I want that soundbite so bad. All right, fails of the week. Your fail of the week. Go, Joe.
Raw, in that it was a repeat of Elimination Chamber, essentially, with all the matches that were booked. We saw repeat matches. I mean, granted, we saw the Shield versus Sheamus, Ryback, and Jericho this time around, but really, I mean, it was really lame in that aspect.
All right, Garvin, your fail of the week. Go, Garv.
I have a few. I'm sorry. I always give you more than you ask for, but Caitlyn versus Tamina, I thought that was an awful build. Why can I not put those guys or ladies on TV? I don't get it. That was awful, and their match at Elimination Chamber was only about 5 minutes. They could have done a lot better. The other fail is the TV title conversation, which we've already had. And my last fail, but really the top fail, is that Harrison missed the first 2 hours of Elimination Chamber because he lost track of time while washing his dogs. What?
Yeah.
What?
I thought the pay-per-view started at 9. I was just, and I didn't actually even start live tweeting it until like 9:30.
That's Harrison at FTWpodcast.com.
When does any
Yeah, 'cause I
pay-per-view
checked
start
mine
at 9?
Well, I just thought it did. So I was like, I got time to watch my dogs. So I watched my dogs, and then all of a sudden oh crap, that's right. Yeah. I mean, come on. We said going into it, we thought Elimination Chamber was going to be a throwaway pay-per-view. So I mean, my heart was half in it. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out when I'm done with this. And for some reason, I just thought, for whatever reason, it was just a brain fart. I totally thought it started at 9. So yeah, my fail is my dog Hershey for taking forever getting in the goddamn bathtub. Water dog loves it, right? Loves playing fetch at the river, playing fetch at the lake. Hates baths. I do not get it. The water's warm. We're inside. It's cold out. It's, we live up north, Now my fail is specifically, what Garvin was saying, bouncing off of that, Tamina and Caitlyn. See, the problem I have with this is that was a solid match that they had. I mean, it wasn't spectacular. It didn't blow the doors off. But as far as a technical wrestling match goes, it was pretty good. And yeah, you're right. We had no build-up going for it. And I'm totally not expecting any build-up going into WrestleMania. And again, these two are probably going to put on a pretty decent match. And it was something that we were talking about on Twitter, was that if you want to see what the future of the Divas division needs to be, it's these two. I mean, they're not like these supermodel, Bella Twin type of stick figures that are running around. These are two women who know what they do, and they do it well. And they look the part, and they act the part, and they wrestle the part. And that's what the Divas division needs to be. And they're not doing anything with it. And since we started this goddamn podcast, all we've done is said that the Divas division needs something, and now they have it. They're starting to have something there, and they're not doing anything with it. I mean, a 5-minute pay-per-view match, that was actually pretty good. I mean, it wasn't spectacular, but they only had 5 minutes. So anyway, that's my fail. Garv, what are the chat's fails of the week?
Fails of the week. Brodus and Tensai. Divas match only getting 4 minutes and 0 build. No Intercontinental title match. And I want to add to that. What happened to the whole Bo Dallas Wade Barrett thing, because now it seems like they're skipping past it now on Raw. It was Wade Barrett versus Sheamus, that whole segment. Ugh.
I think legitimately, I think we're probably I wouldn't be surprised if we find out something happened with Bo Dallas. If something didn't clear, if maybe like wellness violation or he got injured, I don't know.
Well, he definitely wasn't ready. I mean, let's be honest.
He's not
ready
that
for
too.
the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Some more fails of the week. Harrison, as always. And Alberto Del Rio's botch at Elimination Chamber when he whiffed at the Enziguri on Big Show.
Yeah, he did miss by a bit on that one. Do want to dive right into the draft real quick. Leaderboard update. Mike is still at the top of the board with 81 points. Garvin is nipping at his heels with 69 points. Lee's got 55.5. Kyle, the first listener we finally get at this chart, at Tequila
Mike
G
technically is a listener.
He's doing. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we kicked him off our team. That's right. Damn it. He's at 49.5 points. I'm in fifth place at 47.5. We got Gary at 42.5, and Joe wrapping up the basically the only real points that matter at 41.5. Below that, we got Radio Influence, Ken at 28. We're getting to the point that you can start. Yeah, Rob, Diva, Jill, Corey, Nick. You can start statistically eliminating people from contention here. I think really Joe, you and me have an outside chance if 6 or 7 people get injured that we could probably get up there. But I think it's going to come down to Mike, Garvin, and me.
Well, and just remember, I mean, the way that the FTW draft is scheduled this season is we're leading up to lockdown, and then lockdown is when the playoffs start. So it's a top 8 that matters. So right now, that 8th spot is really
the 8th spot is wide open.
Contested. Yeah. Ken, Rob, Diva, Jill, and Corey, they're all within 10 points of that spot. So,
and Nick can be a dark horse on that one for all we know. I mean, yeah, it is the 8th spot that does matter. But I'm just thinking, that's right. Yeah, the points do reset when we do hit the pay-per-view. So that is a good point. Once you get in, you're in.
Yeah,
so.
and I just wanted to clarify. I mean, like when we started the FTW draft for this season, we were concerned because TNA wasn't going to have an extra pay-per-view. They were going to only have the 2, but this extravaganza, the X Division themed, for one night only or whatever the TNA is calling these $15 pay-per-views, it's going to happen on April 5th, which is 2 days before WrestleMania, which is the last show it's going to be booked. So TNA is going to score there.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what shakeup we have before we hit the final at WrestleMania. All right, so that is it. That's the show. Check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. You can check out our news site to see that we posted links to our iTunes page. You can rate us higher than any other podcast. Gun and right for stuff you should know. Want to take those guys down. You can also help us in other ways and support us there. All the links are listed right there, and we can appreciate any help that you can give us, obviously. Again, you can get your very own I'm an FTW Podcast Guy shirt over at ftwpodcast.com/shirts. There are 4 others available, including I'd Buy Candy from Cody's Mustache, which the fact that there is no context does make it a little bit better. I do want to concede that point. People, for some reason, you are buying those like crazy, and I just do not understand it. But whatever. I mean, you can wear it to a wrestling event and people will love you. You wear it to the beach, maybe not. Thank you, everyone, in the live chat. We record every FTW Podcast episode on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Greenwich Mean Time -5 or GMT -5. We'll figure out how to say that at FTWLive.com. We'll see you again this Saturday we'll see you
Next Tuesday.
No, when's our the first pay-per-view pre-show? It's going to be, we'll be plugging it forever. Anyway, see you next Tuesday. Later, player.